King Von was a Chicago rapper, and like many before him, he only got his due fame after being gunned down. He came from a low-income area of Chicago and dedicated his breakout album to it. King was on his way to achieve stardom and had featured with many underground rappers who came from the same place as him. Sadly, he couldn't see the impact of his critically acclaimed album. Keep watching to find out who's being held responsible for Von's murder. Von's short-lived career. King Von, aka Davon Daquan Bennett, was born on 9th August 1994. He hailed from the O Block on the south side, which is one of the most neglected areas in Chicago. He was making waves as a young rapper who came straight out of Chicago's drill scene. His life had always been rough, as his family life was anything but normal. He had 9 siblings in total. 6 were from his father's side and 3 were from his mother's side. Von's father, Walter E. Bennett, was a criminal, and throughout his childhood, he saw him getting in and out of jail. When Von was 11, his father got shot and died on the spot. He has given him a tribute in his song Expose Me. Before Von got into rapping, he had begun his tussle with the law. He was regularly getting arrested for petty crimes, but soon he went way beyond the small crimes. His talent was spotted by his peers Lil Durk and Chief Keef, who then wasted no time in signing him to their record label OTF, Only the Family. He came from the Chicago drill scene, but had something more than the ordinary street rappers. His writing wasn't just empty verses. He was gaining a reputation as a vivid storyteller. In 2018, he released his first single, Crazy Story, and it went viral on the music streaming platforms. Over the next 2 years, he kept releasing singles, but when he released his debut album, Welcome to O Block, that's when he was on the verge of switching to the big leagues. His album claimed the 13th spot on Billboard 200, which only got more recognition after his death, and then it peaked at 5th position. On December 24th, 2020, Lil Durk, who was Von's mentor, released his album, The Voice, and paid a tribute to the late rapper by showing him on the album cover. Run-ins with the law. Even before King Von became a rapper, he was notorious in his community. His criminal streak wasn't hidden. From an early age, he was getting into trouble with the law. Von got his first trip to juvenile detention when he held someone at gunpoint and stole their car. The judge considered his young age when he announced his decision. He conditioned him to drop the charges if Von would go to a boot camp where he'll work on his deviant ways and come out as an improved version. Soon it proved that the boot camp had little to no impact on him, as soon he was convicted again on the charges of possession of firearms. This marked his second time in juvenile detention. In an interview, Von told about his experience in prison. He mentioned he went to prison twice. His first stay in prison was 14 months, and then soon after he got sentenced for another 15 months. Von usually avoided talking about what crimes he committed that made him go to prison. In 2014, Von got booked for shooting and killing a man named Malcolm Stuckey. The shooting occurred at a party in Inglewood, and Von was arrested for firing shots openly. That resulted in killing 1 man and 2 people getting wounded. Von's friend Michael Wade was also present with him, and it was reported that he had also shot off several times. This was Von's longest stay in jail, which was 3.5 years while he was waiting for his trial. When the trial was over, Von was acquitted of all charges, and his friend was given a 28-year sentence. It was after his long stay in prison where he had had enough free time on his hands to think about what he wanted to do next. He came out of prison and soon started his career in music. He was working passionately, but then in February 2019, he got arrested again in relation to a shooting that took place in Atlanta. This time also, he got into trouble with another one of his friends and fellow rapper Lil Durk. A video was released on the internet which showed Von and Durk with firearms, which they then used to rob someone. It all happened in a hotel parking lot. The man was later identified to be Alexander Witherspoon, who survived the gunshots, which is why they didn't get booked for murder. The police arrested them on the charges of attempted murder, possession of a firearm, and gang association. After a few months, both Durk and Von got released from the jail on the $250K and $300K bail. King Von's beef with other rappers. Tekashi 6ix9ine. King Von was a loyal friend of Lil Durk. His feud with 6ix9ine started when he went to the same spot where Lil Durk's cousin, Nusky, was killed and made a mockery of his death. Von quickly made a video to show his disapproval of Tekashi's actions and even reminded him of his reputation as a snitch. In the video, he also said that people like him don't understand the gravity of the situation and only do such things to get some attention without facing any real consequences. He specifically mentioned that Tekashi didn't hold on to the information when things got difficult for him, and he put everyone else in jeopardy just to get himself out. Von was vocal about those who, despite everything, still went on to work with Tekashi. When Nicki Minaj did a song with 6ix9ine called Trolls, Von said that he was disappointed in her. FBG Duck. FBG was another one of Von's enemies from the old time, but after the untimely passing of Duck, Von had clarified that lately things had been alright between the two. When they started their career, both of them released a few diss tracks for each other, especially targeting each other's past, but things never escalated beyond that. Von even wrote on Twitter after his death that people assume the worst of him and always find a way to blame him for everything. Later in an interview, he even mentioned that the two rappers were possibly thinking about doing a collaboration that would have told their fans that things were good between them. Quando Rondo. When news of King Von's murder broke out, the majority of his fans were only taking one name, which they were convinced to be behind this. The name was Quando Rondo. It was his group that started the fight when Von was leaving the club, and it ended in guns being fired. King's manager told the police that they were unarmed. Police have also taken his brother Timothy Leaks into custody and charged him with the murder of King Von. Rondo came to the Breakfast Club podcast and told his side of the story, which he thought people were only manipulating to fit the narrative. Quando explained how he was already tired and didn't even want to go inside the club. His brother was forcing him to go while they were looking for a nice parking spot. Their conversation was all about him convincing the others to let him rest and get back home soon. They were standing there when another group was walking towards them. Quando said he thought they were just regular people, but soon one of them came and hit him, which he wasn't prepared for. When he told the story, it seemed like Von's people were the ones who started the fight, and whatever happened after it was all in self-defense. He said he was being attacked first, and then his brother did what he had to do in order to protect him. There were reports even claiming that Rondo was sleeping in his car when Von approached him. One channel reported that Davon came to him, woke him up, and attacked as the aggressor, which led to the whole shootout. Quando wasn't even investigated for Von's murder since the police collected enough evidence that he wasn't the one who shot him. Since then, one thing has become clear, that Lil Tum Rondo's brother was the one who shot Von. The case was closed after the police arrested him. The rapper didn't dish on why there was ever an issue between him and Von. He did mention King's crew and even went on to say things were good between him and people from Von's record label. He didn't say Durk's name directly, but it did point towards him by saying he featured with him. He was also the head of Von's record label, Only the Family. From my understanding, I had a relationship with Big Bro. I don't want to say his name. You know who I'm talking about. The dude that was on my album. It was all love with us, from my understanding. While he may not have been the one to pull the trigger, the fans did catch his diss on a live virtual performance that seemed to be directed at King Von. He said, he got caught without that pole, and now that bitch ass gone, I'll piss on his grave. Fatal shooting. On November 6, 2020, King Von was shot after getting into an argument with some guys. In total, 3 guys were shot while 2 of them made it. Von didn't get so lucky. Atlanta Police Department reported that while policemen did their best to break up the fight between 2 groups, the men involved were only getting more aggressive with each passing second. Von was leaving a club around 3:20 a.m., and when they reached in front of Monaco Hookah Lounge, their spat got ugly. Soon firearms were pulled out, and after it, within seconds, fires were shot which hit Von and killed him. The police tried to catch the shooters right at the spot, but they started shooting more bullets. The other group quickly ran away. Police saw 3 men who had been the target and quickly made arrangements to take them to the nearest hospital. Von's and his friends' condition was so bad that the police didn't even wait for the paramedics. They took them to the hospital in private vehicles. He went to the hospital in critical condition but died after a few hours. His funeral was held on November 15th in his hometown. The news of him getting shot spread like a wildfire, and fans expressed their doubts on Twitter. Many fans tweeted to learn if it was the police who took the matters into their own hands and fired the shots, but Von's manager, who was also shot in the same incident, came forward and explicitly said that the guys from the other group were responsible for the rapper's death. The police did take some aim, but it was only towards the other gang as they were not stopping the shooting. The Atlanta police said in the first statement that when they arrived at the scene, Von had already been shot and now they were investigating which guy from the group was behind it. On November 7th, 2020, rapper Quando Rondo's brother Lil Tum was officially charged with King's murder. At the time, Tum was also hospitalized because of the injuries he endured in the same fight. He has since been released on a $100,000 bond. While Von's friends and family are still not able to go past his sudden passing, they do find solace in knowing that his songs are being appreciated like he had hoped. Stay tuned and soon we'll be back with more Inside Scoop.